idea, but the part where I always melt down about halfway through, and the clips don't line up, or the sound doesn't line up, and I'm like, screw this, I hate this, this sucks, I'm gonna go watch someone else's videos. Like, I mean, how do you, like, deal with, it's all there, and I just can't put it together. The editing is what always just kills me, is trying to get it all to work.
Rob, you want to answer that question?
Tell them about the hole in the wall.
Awesome. Okay, so actually, Rob, he actually found this. What's that meme going around? It's the, on Facebook everywhere. They're kind of funny to him a little bit. It's the, what I do, what my parents think I do, whatever, blah, blah, blah. There's one from Editor. And, one was, what I think I do. It's like a person editing for a Citizen Kane holding up the strip, going, stuff like that. Something like what people think I do is just this big, question mark in smoke or something like that. And, but the best one was what I really do. It just says loading, loading, loading. And it takes an unbelievable amount of patience. And the funny thing is that like, for example, when I was bringing up before, I'll tell the whole story too. But my brother at some point was editing a few things, and he's actually a really, really good editor. I mean, he's actually, like, when he gets to it, I mean, he's like, no, I should have pictures here, I should have angles here, I should have, it's like, this crazy Batman, but it's like, this is genius. I can't stand doing it. And but it's sort of a different thing there, because it almost sort of sounds a little bit like a perfectionist thing, like, just, you want to look great, you want to look grand, you just want to throw all your effort into it. And for me, it's much more about getting the product out, getting it out good, but getting it out, because I'm a big deadline freak. But that can definitely, the only time I get, like, insanely angry, like really, really angry, like, I can deal with people buying stuff like that when the computer crashes or something's not working or something like that. There was one time I actually got so angry, because this was like, I think this was during when I had the Ghostbusters playing on my computer. Like, just for no reason, the sound of Ghostbusters was playing while I was editing, and I know, like, everything was closed, everything was blah, 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 and I couldn't stop it, and it was freezing, it was stopping, and I was already, like, 2 days behind this deadline. I literally just, boom, I punched a hole in the wall. It was literally like an anime character. And for me, it's funny because the parts, and everyone is just different, because like my brother's favorite part, it's probably the writing, right? I mean, that's probably your favorite part, right? Yeah, and my favorite part actually is the editing. The part, oddly enough, and I don't know why this is, my least favorite part, I still like, but my least favorite part is the filming. I don't like the filming part. Because to me, that's the middle. And so when you're coming up with the idea, anything's possible and everything, and like you said with writing, and when you're editing, you're seeing if it's working, you're seeing if it's coming together. I know what you're saying about matching up the sound, it's not going to be very annoying. But you learn from that too. You're just like, oh, okay, I'll remember this for next time. Have background noise or background sound to go through the whole thing or something like that, or be closer. You just sort of learn from it. The filming is always just the middle part. It's just like, oh, come on, I just want to get to the editing. But for a lot of people, the filming is the best part, because you can, perform, you can interact, you can have fun, you can improvise, you can do all that stuff, and it's great. So with every person, it's just going to be something different. Honestly, for me, what's worked whenever I had to do something I don't like doing in a production or something like that, just set a deadline and just stick to it. Because at the very least, you'll have something to show for it. There's nothing more, I've had this happen to me a lot too, there's nothing more aggravating. We just have a ton of projects that never went in, that you just gave up on. Or at least I should say, it's much better to have projects you came through on as opposed to abandoned. You definitely feel better about it. So I say, even if it's not great, just learn from it, go on to the next one. So, but just keep pushing them out and just see how much better you can make yourself. So I'm sorry, I really hogged this spot right now.
I mean, deadlines really do help, I believe, in a sense. But I will say that my wife goes crazy whenever I have a video that I have to make by a specific date, and I tend to spend all my time getting it done because I know that the date is approaching. So I'll be up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'll be making sure that UV's mouth opens when I say the word still, and it's infuriating, but it's awesome as well, because my 2 favorite parts of working on videos is the writing and the editing. Partially because when you're writing, you kind of have free reign to do whatever you want. But when you get the editing, it's almost like everything that came in between was almost meaningless, because if you don't have a video until that point, you don't have anything to show them what you've done except a script and audio that doesn't go with anything, and video that may as well just exist up there. But I think George Lucas, funnily enough, is the guy I quote when I say that the movie doesn't exist until you get to the editing stage. And in his case, maybe it would have been better if it didn't. I do love editing. It's extremely tedious, but I love tedium. It's really weird to be able to say that, but I love tedium. I love Animal Crossing. I love Harvest Moon. I love games where you don't actually accomplish anything unless you put a year's worth of work into it. It's really strange, but I get a lot out of the editing process, and it's kind of cool because when I started, I was using Windows Movie Maker, which I wouldn't recommend unless you were just starting out and you were just trying to see if you enjoyed it. Then I moved on to another program, then I moved on to another program, then I moved on to Sony Vegas. And I kind of, the way that my technique is that I don't have a technique, I kind of fail upwards because I figure out what doesn't work and then I just go with whatever is left to me. Everything's gone wrong and then I'm left with what can only be the right way to do it. So you can kind of see that if you watch my series, you'll see oh, you were terrible at first, then you weren't as bad, and now you're kind of okay. So.
I like that way, the failing upward. I think it's a very legit way of putting it. That you're not going to start off fantastic. If you do, great. You know, go up. But yeah, I mean, I'd say maybe the one other thing I'll say about it is that I realize is that try starting off small. Start small with a small project, because I realized I started off with the 5-second movies, and I grew from there, and I was just sort of. When you do so many of them in a row, you pick up stuff, and it's like, oh, maybe I can try this. How do I do it this way? I want to put the sound here. Can I slow this down? Can I speed that up? So that'd probably be a good thing to do, too. I do put the small projects first. And that way, you can have a lot of them built up and behind your belt. So, yeah, there you go. Let's do another question here. Let's do you, sir.
I got two hopefully short things. First of all, I know in both of your cases that your success has spawned a number of memes and a number of imitators. Like I know there's a whole bunch of other abridged series, and I imagine you don't do them all. And
You'll see that! She's a pixie man!
and well, yeah, but you can see sometime.
Team Force Star doesn't exist.
And I've seen attempts at imitator nostalgia critics. I was just wondering, to what extent does that flatter, and to what extent does that annoy you? Either, you know, the fact that you're being imitated, but sometimes not very well.
For me, it hasn't gotten to quite the annoyance yet. I'm still in the flatter stage, I guess.
Well, we're both imitating each other. We both have beards and glasses.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I will say this: when you see everybody trying to do it, it's sort of at a point where you see people are sort of catching on to your shtick and stuff like that. You just sort of say, okay, I gotta change this up a bit. I gotta do this a little differently. You know, that's why stuff like the Moulin Rouge review or the Grinch review and stuff like that. I mean, those are essential. You really need stuff like that because you need to keep it fresh. Because you suddenly see people are catching on and they're imitating it, and it's like, well, okay, if all these people can do that, I'm supposed to be offering them something different, something unique, you know, but familiar. So, so the more you can sort of switch it up, the better. I don't think I've got quite biased it to a point where I find it that annoying. I think it's still like, oh, that's awesome. I think I could start anything. I mean, any of these weird internet memes and stuff like that. I think it's still pretty cool.
And I take it as a compliment when people try and do an abridged series on the road, because very few of them are literally copying anything that I do. They're just taking the concept that, to be fair, existed long before I did, but of making fun of an anime show and dubbing over it. I mean, that sort of thing's been going since the internet was born, you know. I mean, you have the old G.I. Joe clips with them running around and saying pork chop sandwiches. I mean, I can't really say I invented the idea of redubbing a cartoon or anything like that. But the name Bridge series is something that, you know, I guess I kind of put out there, and if people latch onto that, that's great. I mean, I don't really feel like anything are trying to be me. Although there was one guy that cosplayed as me at one convention. It's quite horrifying.
That was It's
very good.
Let's do another question here. Let's do,
I think he had another.
The only thing is, are you tired of the back credit card thing yet?
You know, something I figured out. Somebody asked, what's your favorite meme and your least favorite meme? And I said the answer to both is my own. Because on the one hand, every time I go to a con, I know someone's going to say back credit card. I have to scream, I have to go, I have to punch him and stuff like that. And whenever I hear it, I twitches a little. And it's like, okay, here we go. I'm back credit card. I go, I do the shtick and stuff like that. But when I see the reactions from everybody laughing, everybody applauding, I was just like, yeah, that's cool. All right, yeah. So it sort of makes my mind, I'm realizing now I can't do it as much anymore because like the past 2 cons I went to and I kept doing that, I kept almost losing my voice. So it is one of those things I'm sort of like, yeah, I may have to stop doing that. I may just do like a big punch or something like that. But it's like I can't scream anymore because I'm filming more and more at cons and I'm performing more and more. So the more you stretch out the voice, just the more likely